What's up, welcome back. I'm John Stark from MacMovieGuy.com, your favorite blind film critic, and this is The Acolyte, Season 1, Episode 3. It has audio description on Disney Plus, and I don't have a whole lot of thoughts on the audio description, and I think the audio description is fine. It's not really causing me to go, what's up with that? How did that work? Or, I've watched more videos and more people talk about the first two episodes, and I never thought about the fire in space thing so I do have to kind of go back and say, okay, that's a leap. Because I was pretty, fully on board for The Acolyte, the first two episodes, and then somebody pointed out the fire burning in space, and I was like, oh, fuck yeah. Yeah, that did happen, didn't it? So, I don't know. It's not enough that I would, lower the grade, but I will acknowledge that slightly less than perfect, but I still think I'm hearing way too much feedback having to do with the gender of the leads and the race of the leads, and it's pissing me off. Just quite frankly, it's pissing me off. I don't know if I can get through these Acolyte reviews, because every time I end up seeing somebody who's talking about the fact that we have, it's like having Rey all over again or whatever. It's like, do you just want a whole bunch of white dudes, running everything all the time, leads in every shows? Is that what we're looking for here? It's just carbon copies of Mark Hamill just in everything for the rest of your life. That's it. That's all you need. You just want the same person in every scene. Okay, we'll just AI generate white dudes in every lead. Just to fuck with you guys, I'd love to put Chris Klein as the lead actor in a Star Wars series and be like, what? He's a white dude. Can he be a Jedi? Isn't this what you wanted? He's a fantastic actor. Chris Klein, Dean Cain, Star Wars project coming soon. Anyway, yeah, I think I like the actress. I've liked her in lots of things. So yes, I'm going to be defensive. I liked The Hate U Give. I liked The Hunger Games. I liked her in Everything. So yes. Leave her alone. But as far as the third episode goes, I also didn't realize we were going to get into witches, which, if you happen to watch my recap of Ahsoka, was my least favorite thing about Ahsoka, was when they were like, oh, by the way, we have witches. I was like, we have witches in space? Are we running out of... did we run out of imagination? They're using terms like covens and stuff like that, and I feel like this is just so dull. This is such a dull storyline. Space witches, it's just feels so like we're at the end of imagination in terms of Star Wars. We've run out of things to talk about, so now we're into space witches. And maybe this is deep lore, and maybe if I read enough Star Wars books, something would make sense to me as to why we have space witches. But space witches is one of the dumbest things. I thought it was dumb when it was in Ahsoka. It's still dumb today. So I like this show a little bit less now. And I definitely liked this episode a little bit less when they were like, oh, you could be witches. And I was like, damn it. Why can't they be anything else but witches? So, yeah. I'm very conflicted about this episode, because obviously this episode showed a version of May and I don't know what her name is, the other version of her, Osha's past, where they were these little girls training to be witches, and it was Ascension Day or something, and May had already ascended and had already gone through, and then the Jedi show up, and the Jedi are like, we have the right to test children to be Jedi, you know, and they're like, we're outside the, you know, we're outside your jurisdiction. That didn't work. So basically, their mother, who is not their mother, but it's a weird situation where they don't really explain it, because it's a group full of women, and I'm sure, like, if they were to start explaining it, they were like, somebody's gonna get really angry and think we're just like a coven of lesbians and somehow we make babies now, or like this is like a transgender thing. I'm sure like there was a conversation about like, we should keep this as vague as possible. We might talk about it later, we might not, but for right now we're just gonna like table this conversation. So they don't really tell you how these two girls came to be. They're like, shit, they don't have a father. Really? How is that? So the twins go through a Jedi test. Osha wants to be a Jedi, May does not, and May resents Osha for wanting to be a Jedi and burns the shit to the ground. So it kind of also makes May's position look really weird, because we've also seen her and she's coming at it from this perspective where it's like these Jedi ruined her day and killed everybody that she knew. But it's like the May in this timeline knows that she sets a fire, knows that her sister was in that room. So I'm very interested in knowing like how we got from episode 2 to episode 3 and then like May back to episode 2, you know, like that kind of, because I'm not entirely sure everything makes sense right now. And I know that we're trying to be really vague with the story because like we kind of walk out and everybody's dead, but we don't see who killed them. I think there's a reason for that, because I don't think it's the Jedi. I have a feeling that that Coral character is the one that May is listening to, because the one that was her mother, that they kept referring to as mother, was in general nicer, and Coral was the angrier one that was like, no, we're not doing this. And I feel like probably something happened with her and she scorched earth her own people and took May and ran. So in the blames the Jedi just for having shown up and creating this discourse among her people. So that's where I think the series is headed. But we do get to see some version of the backstory, but I hate that it's witches. So as much as I would love to say, because I loved the first parts of the Acolyte. Like I even saw somebody who was like with the Acolyte with the first, who didn't like the Acolyte, but still was like, you have to watch the first like 5-10 minutes. That first fight is incredible. Like even somebody who ended up another YouTuber that I follow who did not recommend the Acolyte recommended that you watch at least the first fight because of how incredibly choreographed it was. So the series is not necessarily the bane of everyone's existence. It's just I don't know. I want to make like a strong female lead video and then ask people what the problem is. Like, why can't we have everything? Like, why can't we have... Are we afraid that there aren't films starring white dudes anymore? Because I feel like if that's a thing, Jason Statham's movies should be blowing up at the box office. Like, The Beekeeper should have easily crossed 100 million. You know, like, easily. Been like, oh my god, thank you. We have one. We have a film with Jason Statham. You know, beacon of hope. In a sea of diversity. Should have been like the year's biggest box office surprise. You know, Liam Neeson had a movie that's 2 this year, by the way, in the land of saints and sinners. In case you're worried that there aren't enough white male leads out there, he also has one. Bobby Cannavale and Robert De Niro are in a movie called Ezra right now. Ryan Gosling did a movie too. It was called The Fall Guy. I don't know. I feel like, what are you worried about? What is the concern here? So is it just limited to Star Wars? Is it everything? Because it seems to be a backlash in general to female leads. So anyway, food for thought. I like the Acolyte. I don't like witches, so now this series is trending downward for me. But hopefully this is the last time I hear the word witch in this series. I have a feeling it won't be. But I will give The Acolyte, Season 1, Episode 3, a B+. I'm dropping it down because I really can't stand the witches. I'm really hopeful for the rest of the series. I'm going to try to remain optimistic. I promise you there's absolutely no reason why I don't like this series other than the fact that I think space witches are dumb. Like, conceptually, I think we've run out of ideas. It'd be like if we started having, like, space superheroes, you know, with, like, space powers. You know, like, you have, like, Space Spider-Man, like a Spider-Man equivalent. Somebody with, like, Cyclops' powers. Who's like, I'm a Jedi, but I also blast lasers out of my eyes. You know, I'm with the dark side, but check out my claws. She's, you know, like, I think just being a Jedi is cool enough. Like, we don't need, just the Force alone is cool enough. I don't think we need witches. So, that's it. That's just my thought. Anyway, thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing, and I will see you guys on the other side.